Hello everybody, my name is James Leggett, and today I'm here with a bunch of other neurodivergent business owners to talk about the most recent series of Doctor Who. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Alice, and I'm co-founder of Joyfully Different, which is a business community for neurodivergent people who want to start and grow their own businesses. And I'm also a brand and marketing expert, and I've run my own business for 7.5 years doing that.
Hello, I'm Mark. I am also co-founder of Joyfully Different. I'm also a director at the Good Consulting Neurodivergency Training Practice. And that is the most concise pitch I've ever given. Kudos.
My name is Heike. I'm the sorry champion for Joyfully Different. There's a little bit of a team going on here. And also I'm the founder of the Good Consulting Company, where Mark is the director of, and I'm also the Good SEO company, plus a load of other things I do.
Okay, and we are all here today because we are discussing the most recent series of Doctor Who. After the rather abysmal Chris Chibnall era, the BBC realised that they were screwed, and so they brought back the guy who brought back Doctor Who back in 2005. And so last year we got the 60th anniversary specials, along with the Christmas special, and I think they were all. I would say they were rather good. So leaps and bounds ahead of most of the Chibnall era. So yeah.
And it was great to see David Tennant and Catherine Tate back together. Yeah. That was amazing. They're one of my
dream.
Yeah, but you didn't listen to their Big Finish audios, but they're somewhat pricey, so that's fine. So anyway, after the Christmas special, we were treated to episode 1, Space Babies. And I hated it.
Why did you hate it?
It was super cringy. It's like, I know people have said Doctor Who is a kid's show. And I would say that's not true. It's a family show. But it's episodes like that where it really screams this is a kid's show. Because because the Space Babies was so cringy. Like, did they have to be Space Babies? No. But is it super cringy in my opinion? Yes.
I mean, generally, like, talking babies, quite creepy anyway.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, I don't even want to imagine how the classic series would have tried to pull this off. It would have been a complete train wreck, but not a great start, Mark.
When I watched the Space Babies episode, my mind went into very weird places. For example, how are we allowed to swear in this?
Yeah, that's fine. It's not like this is going to be monetized or anything.
How in the flying fuck does the anatomy of the bogey monster work? How did the bogey monster become alive?
Alive.
How would biology work?
Okay. This is a simple fact. Whenever there's an alien biology in science fiction and you don't understand it, just tell yourself it's bizarre alien biology.
Yeah.
Just go with that. Don't worry about it.
Wasn't it powered by being like a figment of their imagination or something?
I believe so. It was, I think, a figment of their imagination.
Or it was like their belief in it because of some story that was fueling its existence. Am I remembering that wrong?
I mean, I don't know. My brain went into super cringe mode and I forgot most of it.
I think you're right. I can't remember the full details because it's been a while. But I think, like what you said, it had to do something with the imagination that created the boogie monster.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was part.
Yes, it created the boogie monster. But how was it alive? Alive after its initial creation? That's the question.
It's science fiction. In science fiction, anything is possible.
I also feel that there's like science fiction suspension of disbelief, and then there's Doctor Who suspension of disbelief, which is just next level because literally anything goes. There's an explanation for everything. Like, he wasn't even supposed to regenerate, and then it was only because the show got popular and William Hartnell, because of his health, he couldn't continue. that they were just like, hey, this is an alien guy, like we get to make the rules, let's just cast Patrick Troughton instead.
Yeah, or how
regenerate.
or how originally the Doctor only had one heart, but then at the start of Spearhead in Space, boom, he has 2 hearts now.
I feel like if you're gonna be a Doctor Who fan, you just need to be okay with glaring plot holes, and just that's okay.
Because it was a Time Lord could only regenerate 12 times.
Yeah, but then they fixed that with Matt Smith's absorbing all the stuff.
I'm pretty sure the only reason why I'm pretty sure the only reason why Robert Holmes, probably the best Doctor Who writer of all time, who introduced a bunch of important lore, I'm pretty sure the only reason why he introduced that was to explain why the Master was super decayed in the Deadly Assassin, because the previous guy who played him, Roger Delgado, was killed in the car crash, and so I guess they decided, hey, if we're going to bring back the Master, let's just make him unrecognizable, and so boom, he's decayed. So yeah. And you know, as early as the second episode of Doctor Who ever, story ever Doctor Who, it had bizarre, because me and a friend of mine were talking about the Daleks, the first ever appearance of the titular monsters, and he was complaining about the Dalek homeworld, where he said that, I get that Skaro is like radiated by atomic wars, but how is it possible for the radioactive fallout to have a reversible half-life? And when I said bizarre biology, he was like, but like constant decay is supposed to be a basic universal physical law. So by rights, the radiation level should be receding rather than creeping up. And I was like, alien radiation. That's the best. That's the best.
I mean,
answer.
do we really want to start counting the number of universal physical laws that have been broken in Doctor Who?
Yeah, imagine how the people at TARDIS Wiki feel as they keep having to explain why there's so many multiple versions of the same events. Like, like in the expanded universe, there's at least 3 different explanations as to the Sixth Doctor's final adventure, because Colin Baker was fired and he refused to come back to film a regeneration scene, and so Time of Demise starts with him unconscious already with Sylvester McCoy in one of the worst rigs ever created. So yeah. Anyway, so Space Babies, I hated it, but other people were.
I thought it was like, but like you said, James, like after the Chibnall stuff was so disappointing because like the whole kind of sparkly dialogue wasn't there. It wasn't clever. It wasn't fast paced. I feel like it was a great cast. I feel like all the actors got really done the dirty out of their Doctor Who era. But I think that even Space Babies is not up there among my favourite episodes. I still enjoyed it more than any of the Chibnall episodes.
Even
apart from the Rosa Parks one, which was great.
I would say the best one was the final episode because they brought back Ace, and Ace is my final favourite companion of Doctor Who. So yeah,
I've met Sophie Aldred a couple of times. She's awesome.
So lucky.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The thing is, even with those episodes, I didn't even watch all of them. I got so it's like I didn't get invested into it, so I didn't watch them all. Like no.
I had to, like, I can't not watch it. It's like I've got it like tattoo. I've got a Gallifreyan tattoo that says we're all stories in the end. I've watched every single episode. I couldn't not watch it, but I wasn't engaged. Really.
Big Finish recently announced they've been able to bring back the 13th Doctor and Yaz for few audios next year, so they'll probably get a much better writing done.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, we need to get a move on now. So episode 2. So episode 2, Devil's Court.
Yes.
So I thought the episode was okay. My main problem with the episode was that it wasn't a full-on historical story with the Beatles, but it wasn't a full-on musical either. It was just an awkward mix of the two, and I didn't feel like it worked very well.
Oh, see, I loved it. I'm also like the biggest Jinx Monsoon fangirl. Like, I think that she is just absolutely phenomenal. I thought her performance as Maestro was up there with like one of the best villain performances ever. Like, she was as good as Neil Patrick Harris as the Toymaker, if not better. I thought she was absolutely, like, Michelle Gomez was also one of my favorites as the Master, and I thought Jinx was absolutely up there with those performances. I thought she was amazing, and like that's what made the episode for me was Jinx's Maestro.
I loved it also. It was really a good classic Doctor Who story. I loved it.
Same.
I loved it as well, but for me, Neil Patrick Harris as the toy maker will have more of a special place in my heart because I love Neil Patrick Harris. He's acting in all of his musicals. Is great. I am a big musical boy, and I followed all of them. And the fact I got to see him being iconic in Doctor Who was sent my emotions all over the place. But for me, the Maestro was right up there, just below Harris, before Patrick Harris. I think. I think this overall story was good quality. Again, much better than most of the things in Chipmunks era. But I felt that the impact of no music music on the Beatles and the world was too underdeveloped. I felt like they could have gone into more of the emotional impact of no music, rather than post-apocalyptic image in a modern world. I think that I think a story like that that calls for that kind of subtlety and emotional nuance. And I didn't like as much that the Doctor who leaned into the trope of fixing a post-apocalyptic future, and that for me would have made the episode more richer. However, the bits of the bits of the episode where they showed on the emotional impact of no music was good. Maestro was great. It was great, and I am really liking Ruby as the companion.
I mean, one thing that annoyed me is that he just burst the song for no on-screen, for no obvious explanation at the end. And what's infuriating is that I actually found an interview with Russell recently who said they actually shot a 20-second scene which explained it, but then he decided it was boring, so they cut it. But it just comes across as more of a slapdash on screen. It's like, if they want to do a full-on musical, should do a full-on musical. Like, there is a Big Finish audio play called Doctor and the Pirates, and episode 3 is entirely a musical, and it's so much fun.
Yeah,
I feel like
I love a musical episode of a TV show. I would love to have a full-on musical Doctor Who. That would be great.
That would be so good.
Yeah, although to end off with some trivia, there is actually a Doctor Who episode with Beatles music. All the way back in 1965, the first episode of The Chase had the Doctor and co-watch use their recently acquired time stage visualized to go see various events of the past, and one of them was a Beatles performance, which is taken out of the Pops episode, which is now missing from the BBC archives. So, yeah, it's kind of Of course, it wouldn't happen nowadays because the Beatles music is very expensive. So anyway, on to my favorite episode of the season. Boom!
Yes, this was a phenomenal episode. And also, just to say as well, off the back of, obviously, at the end of The Devil's Chord, we had the song of There's Always a Twist at the End. It's the second time we see the actress Susan Twist coming in. She was the abandoned crew member. She's the dinner lady. Then we see, then we have the twist at the end song. And then she's back in Boom as an ambulance.
This is my favorite episode of the whole season, and it's written by Stephen Moffat, who, while he wasn't the best showrunner, he writes some brilliant individual episodes, and this is definitely one of them. Like, it is so good. Like, it's not the first time the Doctor's been stuck in a landmine, but I think that was Genesis of the Daleks episode 1. But it's definitely the most effective time he's ever been stuck in a landmine, and the fact it's mostly self-contained, it's mostly just in one location for most of the episode, is really very well done, just very effective.
Yeah, I think that sense of urgency and claustrophobia and like all of it, just it's the tension, it's that claustrophobic nature, it's the high stakes, it's the tension. It was like a masterclass in holding that tension for the full episode. It was absolutely genius. And obviously Moffat brought us Blink as well, which is another one of the most iconic episodes ever. Like, I just, boom, mwah, chef's kiss, absolutely fantastic.
What I found hilarious with Boom is that the Boom was so well received, especially, and it was well received by the people that said Doctor Who turned too left wing, and I imagine Russell was like, really, Doctor Who turned too left wing. Here's an anti-capitalism metaphor. Fuck you.
Yeah, it was real. Like, as well as being so tense and just such a great episode, it had such a powerful message as well. Like, it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. One thing I'll never understand about Moffat's era is that why did he just write more episodes like Blink? Like his era is all over the place. But if he had just written more standalone episodes and not just focused on rather not great story arcs, especially like the whole hybrid thing, which he screwed up completely. But imagine how much better his era would have been. Like, there's some great episodes in there, no doubt about it, but it could have been so much more.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
I think different writers have different strengths. Some are more for long form episodes, and some write standalone episodes. Moffat's writing, while I loved his era, while I did love his era, I think is not as strong in science fiction compared to, say, detective shows. The biggest thing I'm thinking of is Sherlock. With my boy Benedict Cumberbatch. I have been Cumberbatched. Because he's writing on Sherlock compared to Doctor Who is in my view on a whole other level.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they are very different shows, so... Alright, okay, so, on to my most baffling episode of the season, 73 Yards. It's essentially this era's version of Turn Left, just done a lot worse. It's so vague and just confusing. Like, Turn Left, it actually made sense, but with 73 Yards, I'm just confused by it. Like, why? It's so vague and not well defined at all.
I agree.
Yeah. This was one of my least favorite episodes of the whole series.
See, I think for me, it was one of my favorites, like, while I was watching it. Like, when I was like trying to figure it out and being like, what happened? Like, I really enjoyed watching it, going like, oh God, it's so like stressful, and I could really feel it, like the passage of time, her getting old, like ticking through the birthdays, being like, oh my God, this is horrendous. Like, this is some wibbly wobbly timey shit going on right now. Like, what? And then at the end, I was just like, huh? What?
Yeah.
After all that
it feels like the writer just didn't know how to explain anything, so they just gave up and didn't bother. It's kind of like in the classic series where they kept killing the master off, then bringing him back with no obvious explanation.
Yeah.
Like in Planet of Fire, he was literally burned to death, and then suddenly in the Mark of Divine, he's like, I'm back, and I'm not going to bother explaining why.
Turn Left was iconic because it showed a dystopian future. It was real impactful.
Yeah, we know.
But most importantly, it had a tangible impact on the overall story. It was used to explain Rose's journey in the multiverse, and her coming back into the main Doctor Who universe, with this episode, with the episode in Chibnall's in Ncuti's era, it was barely. It was mentioned offhand in a reference to the prime minister, into the dangerous prime minister, said that Ruby was fighting at 73 yards. Ruby was fighting at 73 yards. There was no mention of Ruby's experiences, the impact of that whole journey, the implication for it of it to the main Doctor Who continuity, and for me, that made it riddled with plot holes.
Mm.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
only thing I think, the only continuity was Roger William, who then came back later, and I have a feeling we've not seen the last of him now that he's appeared in 2 different timelines. I feel like he's going to come back.
Hands down, the best ever parallel universe story was Inferno. No argument. Anyway, also, I feel like that they should have put this. Also, I feel like they should have switched on the episode order a bit, because in Devil's Call it's mentioned that they've been trapped together 6 months, but it feels like, but it's the second episode, so it feels a bit awkward. I feel like they should have spread this out a bit more, because Ncuti's not really in this one and the next episode a bit, because Sex Education overran its shooting schedule, so which is why these 2 episodes don't align. But still, I feel like they just moved them around a bit. It would be a bit more spread out even. But anyway, bring up to Doctor Who does Black Mirror, Dot and Bubble. I thought it was pretty.
Totally what it is. We were watching it like this is a Black Mirror episode, and we looked up like, did Charlie Brooker write this?
I mean, he didn't, but it's still a pretty good episode.
Yeah, I really liked Dot and Bubble, and for me, this was quite reminiscent of Blink, where you had the Doctor and Ruby in the same way that you had the Doctor and Martha, kind of tangentially there, but on the screen, and not, they were a bit more involved than the Doctor and Martha are in Blink, but there were kind of parallels in that as well. But I thought it was I love Black Mirror as well. I thought it was so well acted. I thought the twist at the end was like freaking brilliant when she turned, and that scene at the end where Ncuti goes mad at the snotty, privileged, racist rich people, like that was the first scene he shot. Like that was his first day on set as the Doctor. Just like what how mind-blowing is that? He hadn't even had time to get into a character, and he literally boom steps into a performance like that. Fucking awesome.
Wild.
But yeah, loved it. Loved it.
All right, so we all loved this episode.
Oh yeah.
Alright. Okay, on to an episode which I thought was alright, Rogue.
I really like that one, but I like history and Doctor Who together.
AKA Doctor Who does Bridgerton with aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, my mum even commented when we were watching it that it's essentially Bridgerton with aliens.
It is.
I thought it was a great cast as well. We had some great British actors in there as well. We had Jonathan Groff, who is brilliant. But he looked so different. I felt like 15 minutes in, I turned around to my partner and I was like, that really looks like Jonathan Groff. Oh, it is. But no, I really liked it, and I really hope we haven't seen the last of Rogue either.
I think the character of Rogue is effectively this series equivalent of Captain Jack, so they can't bring it back for obvious reasons. So
yeah.
So,
yeah, he's like a bit Captain Jack, maybe a bit of River as well, in a kind of.
I mean, there is at least one big Finnish order where Captain Jack met River, so.
Yeah, but
Also,
I hope he comes back. I hope we see Rogue come back.
Although one thing that annoyed me is that, you know the scene where the Doctor is projecting all of his previous lives?
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone notice Richard E. Grant's head in there?
No.
Yeah. You're probably wondering what that's a reference to. Well, in 2003, there was a animated thing called The Scream of Schalke, and it was intended to be the official continuation of Doctor Who. and Richard E. Grant was playing the Ninth Doctor. Of course, now that's not canon, but
No.
but then suddenly just put his head in there because apparently the time his child wasn't a big enough mindfuck. So now we have to try and figure out some way to make Richard E. Grant now canon. I think the most simple explanation is that he played the Great Intelligence back in the Moffat era. So my personal headcanon is that when he stepped into the Doctor's timeline in I think it was Time of the Doctor. Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely one. Or was it Name of Doctor? Any one of them. When he did that, it caused him to kind of become linked to the Doctor's timeline, hence why his head's there. But that's the simple explanation, because because something behind the scenes stuff Russell has said is just baffling. Like, he said he redesigned the sonic screwdriver because it looked too much like a gun. That's just baffling. Like, nobody in their right mind would have ever thought the sonic screwdriver looked like a gun.
Capaldi had sonic sunglasses, so
but it wasn't as bad. I mean, personally, I just do what J&T did and blow up the sonic screwdriver, so it's not being overused so much. But
I've been calling it the sonic fidget spinner because that's what it looks like.
I mean, it looks more like a sonic remote to me, but oh well. Yeah.
But no, I loved Rogue, and really, I thought that it was a great historical story. It was a great watch. It was a great watch.
And Rogue is probably going to be the next of the Doctor's romances. I mean, I personally always preferred the Doctor to be asexual, which throughout the classic series was mostly the case, especially in the 80s, because Genji was like, no hanky-panky in the TARDIS. And then suddenly, but then in the 96 TV movie, because Americans, they had the Doctor's first on-screen kiss. And then the Expanded Universe novel heavily implied the Doctor slept with one of his Expanded Universe companions. And then, of course, in the new series, the Doctor had romance with tons of companions, like Rose. I never liked Rose. Martha, she's fine. None with Donna, thankfully. He had this whole convoluted thing with River because timeline stuff, obviously.
I love River though. Me
too.
I'm still hoping that somehow we're gonna get River back.
I mean, to be fair, she's done quite a few Big Finish audios with classic characters and Doctors, so.
But my spirit ship is now Rogue and the Doctor. They were a hot couple and great chemistry.
Also, one thing that really confused me when people complained about is about how Doctor Who had became too Rogue because there was a same on-screen kiss. Completely ignored the fact that the Ninth Doctor and Captain Jack already kissed at the end of the first Russell series. Like, did everyone just forget that?
Yeah.
Evidently. Alright, on to episode 7, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. This episode was mostly just setting up the next episode, so I don't really have much to say about it.
Yeah. And this is, where we first kind of again see, well, we're not first kind, but again, this is like where we start to unravel that Susan Twist appearance in every single episode. She's there, she's in the timeline, she's a solid character rather than just being someone who's tangential, and it starts to kind of build that intrigue.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the twist was a nice surprise, making everyone think it was Susan from the classic series, and it turns out, oh shit, it's a classic series villain, voiced by the same guy who played him back in the classic series as well. So that's pretty cool. I mean, one thing I really liked about Sutek as a villain is that usually for characters like those ancient evils, like if you get someone like with a deep booming voice like Stephen Thorne, but instead they went with Gabriel Wolf who has a pretty soft voice, and as a result, it was a very interesting contrast as a character. So and he did come back for some Big Finish audio. So I was into kill the explanation that Sutek just latched onto the TARDIS the whole time, because what all the times the TARDIS got blown up, where was Sutek? I think the explanation makes the most sense is that when the Toymaker in the 6th anniversary special said that I played with a jigsaw in your time, I think that's when Sutek was retroactively put back in.
Yeah, that's
the only one I can think of as how to count for all the times the TARDIS blew up. And
but again, referring back to my earlier point, Doctor Who and plot holes. And suspend your disbelief.
But I do also, But still, I do have to point out a glaring plot hole. The Doctor's Wife episode. The TARDIS was literally talking to the Doctor in human form. Why on earth did the living spirit of the TARDIS, who loved the Doctor, not tell the Doctor about Sutek?
Because the writer didn't think of it yet,
sorry.
and apparently nobody considered retcons are really stupid. Like, one of the reasons why it takes me ages to write my novels, that I keep having to go back to previous works to make sure the continuity lines up, because otherwise it's a complete headache for me.
I think what you just said, James, makes the most sense, that the toy maker retroactively put Sutek in the timeline, because I hadn't thought of that, but that's the plausible explanation.
I mean, one thing that confused me about the Toymaker episode is that he and the Doctor were equal because he won the one and the Toymaker won the other. But if you watch the original story, I'm pretty sure it's their first meeting, and it's a snap, and the Doctor wins. So the only explanation, so it's from the many times you want the proper explanation. You have to go to the expanded universe to go explain the poorly written TV stuff. I mean, you shouldn't need to rely on expanded universe stuff just to explain your basic writing. Halo 5 story was awful. One of the reasons why
I think this is why everyone loves Doctor Who so much, because it is just this, like, particularly I think for like an ADHD brain, it is just this absolutely, you know, it's so big. The expanded universe is so big. It's been going for so long. There's been so many different writers, so many different doctors, so many different stories. It's full of plot holes, but if you really picked apart, you could probably find a way to tenuously connect every single dot. And it's just this, it's like, as a special interest, it is literally a never-ending thing that you can mine and mine and mine and mine. And I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the expanded universe has given us two different explanations why there's so many continuity errors. The first is the Time War caused history to change, and the second is that there's this group called the Faction Paradox who loves messing with the Doctor's timeline. So hey, but, I mean that should be an excuse for writers to just ignore continuity and give up. But oh well. But anyway.
The answer to everything is wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
Yeah. And moving on to the, in my opinion, very disappointing finale, Empire of Death.
Why were you so disappointed by it?
Okay. So let's break this down. First off, it feels like it's incomplete because one scene we go from the Doctor, he's completely defeated, and then the next time we see him, he's all like, "Yeah, we're gonna get defeated." Like, there's no kind of transition; it just kind of happens off screen, which is not really satisfying. The next explanation is that what was so special about Ruby, because she has that thing with the snow and the song that I thought that the Devil's Call just uses as a complete cop out to get the characters out of their situation. So it's like, okay, and then suddenly, and then it's like, oh hey, Sutek wants to know, but then it turns out that that Ruby's mother is just a regular human. It's like, but then how do you explain all this other stuff? And if the father's human as well, and what about Boo when in the future she does a DNA test and they can't find Ruby's mother? Why? Like, there's no like it should be. If they said in the episode, oh, all DNA records from Earth were lost, I would have explained it. But why couldn't they just use a simple DNA test to go find out who Ruby's mother was? If she was like some kind of alien, and granted, this could be explained in season 2. I will grant you that, but just based off the Empire of Death, it doesn't really explain why. It just comes across as lame as the Last Jedi. Parent plot twist, which they completely undid in episode 9 after everyone pointed out, having all this build up for a completely anticlimactic resolution probably wasn't a good idea. And then of course there was the other stuff in the finale that bothered me, like they undid, like, it was like, you remember the series 3 finale where they pressed a big red button to undo everything? This was effectively the same thing, where it's like, oh no, everybody's dying quickly, let's just effectively use the same thing again, because apparently Russell didn't learn his lesson the first time around. The only reason why this is better is because at least this time he doesn't turn the Doctor into Dobby. That's the main benefit this has, and it's not as stupid as the villain having a built-in method to defeat his own plan, as So that's it's just caused my brain to rot. Also the scene with the child using his chair thing as a gun, and then Russell says that he changed the sonic screwdriver because he looked too much like a gun, but he literally has a child use a gun. Also, do we really need to have a child genius? Like, I know Ruth was apparently too busy to film it, but did we really need a child in this? Like, I admit my opinions on child actors in Doctor Who and mostly in general are pretty low, but did we really need one? Also, I'm pretty sure this episode has the record of being the first time a character gets brought back and there's no dialogue in the episode, because Rose is in the episode and has no dialogue at all.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Rose play a bigger part.
Also, I really think that the everyone at Unit dying at the end of should have been the cliffhanger for the previous episode, because it would have been so much more effective.
Yeah,
But instead of this beginning of this episode, it's not effective because, like, oh, we know it's gonna be done by the end of the week. But if it's the previous episode, it's like, oh shit, everyone just died. Well, let's see how this gets resolved next week. I think that would have been so much more effective.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I. It wasn't my favorite finale. Like, again, like, my comparison right now is the Chibnall stuff. So I'm like, oh, at least it kind of brought some threads together from the previous series. Like, it answered some questions. And I think where you had, you know, it being that Ruby is just normal, it was the belief that she was special that created the kind of cosmic swirling. I think that is kind of, that links back to like so many times where the Doctor's saying things like, you know, 7 billion people on the planet, I never met someone that like didn't matter, or whatever it was, or, you know, every single, you know, he says a lot like every single person I meet is important. So it does kind of play on that kind of sentiment, which we have seen weave in and out through a lot of the series as his justification for saving people who other people will say are nobodies. So I felt that was a kind of a nice little continuity. But yeah, I was really disappointed that Ruby wasn't like part-time Lord in some like what in my head, what I had said would be like thinking would happen is that Susan was somehow the Susan granddaughter, and I was like, oh, maybe Ruby is somehow a descendant of Susan and she's got some Time Lord DNA in her. But then that none of that happened, and I think I was a little bit disappointed because I was like, I figured it out, and then I was like, oh no, I didn't.
Yeah. Choosing the most disappointing option was clearly the right one in this case.
Something we do have to think about in comparing over the Ncuti series to Chibnall's era is like when you. When you spent like the equivalent of 3 years gurgling badly written poison, the slightest morsel of edible food tastes like a delicacy.
Chibnall probably should have stuck something like Torchwood. I mean, apparently we're all going to be getting a new Doctor Who spin-off that's starting shooting this year. So, and hey, and to give the episode credit, they clearly using that Disney money to good use.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it can finally compete with bigger sci-fi shows now. Yeah. So, in terms of visuals at least, and yeah, it does look very, very good. So, so I can give credit to that much.
And then of course we had the Mrs. Flood comment at the end. Like, we still don't know who this Mrs. Flood is.
Yeah,
the Doctor's story is going to end in terror.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they're not going to cancel Doctor Who. I mean, they might reduce it if it goes that bad in ratings, but they're not going to cancel it due to the massive amount of merchandise alone.
No. But who do you think Mrs. Flood is, James?
Well, there's many possibilities. I mean, she's wearing clothes of previous companions multiple times, so you know, I mean,
flood, river, pond,
or maybe it's a completely new character.
maybe.
That's a possibility.
No.
I mean,
there's a
I would personally love it if it was the Ronnie, but that's not who I thought Missy was going to be before it turned out it was Missy. But
Mm.
we'll see, we'll see.
There's a potential of Mrs. Flood being part of the pantheon of Discord, where the trickster, where the trickster originated in Sarah Jane. Jane. There's quite a few beings in that pantheon.
Yeah.
And the trickster story never got resolution just due to Liz Sladen's death before they could shoot all of the Final Sarah Jane adventures. So it would be nice for that to get some kind of resolution. I mean, I think Klaus was going to do something with it because there was a character in the finale of that episode of that series, and he also played a character in the Sarah Jane adventures, so they might be the same character, but. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. So, I mean, it did take that. I mean, they did finally acknowledge Sarah Jane's death in the 60th anniversary special. I mean, it took them over a decade, but
yeah.
I mean, Big Finish have just gone about the morality issues by just casting the actors' children in their roles. I mean, they've also did the same to Elizabeth Shaw from the classic series as well, and they'll probably do it for future companions after waiting like a decade or so. So, so hey, Big Finish will give us the answers. So, then again, Big Finish are better written than TV Who most of the time anyway. So,
Yep.
Okay, well, that was our discussion about the new series of Doctor Who. Next thing we've got, let's see, then we've got the Christmas special. Let's see. If anyone wants to go listen to anything new, you can find a bunch of the Big Finish stuff if you're on Spotify if you're in the UK. So you've got that to enjoy. Although if you listen to Segres, don't be surprised if you lose your mind over its 4-hour runtime, constantly asking, "What the hell is going on?" So.
Amazing. Thanks so much, James. This has been really
Thanks so much, James.
It was really nice.
It was so fun.
Well, well, there's lots of pop culture to discuss in the future, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, a lot of series, a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm currently watching the Marvel Netflix shows. Let's see.
Lovely.
Let's see. I loved the first 2 seasons of Daredevil. Loved Jessica Jones, season 1, because I'm watching them in chronological order. Loved Luke Cage season 1. Currently on Iron Fist. It's not terrible, but compared to the other shows, it's a massive step down.
Agreed.
It's so slow. I think the issue of just there's so much talk about business going on with the Rand Cup. It's like I don't care about this stuff, and the fight scenes aren't that great either. It's like ugh. Honestly, and I've heard Defenders is a disappointment, so that's next. But hopefully things will pick back up afterwards. So, but we'll see. But hey, as long as I get it done before the Daredevil revival later this year, it should be fine. So yeah. Anyway, say goodbye to the audience, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.